because that skill is easily replaceable. If you're a programmer, a graphic designer, an advertising person, a PR practitioner, a secretary, whatever that job is, your becoming valuable is a function of how easily you can be replaced. So if you can sweep the floors, the best person in the world can sweep the floors very well, that particular skill set, that particular contribution is easily replaced. So you can never be an MVP sweeping floors, right? Same thing if you're a programmer, or if you're an architect, or a project manager, an HR manager, or whatever. The easier you are to replace, the less likely you're going to be valuable to the business. So what is it that makes somebody an MVP? Well, I do my job really well. Well, everybody's expected to do their job well. If you don't do your job well, you should be fired. If you don't do your job well, you shouldn't have that job. So simply saying, I do my job really well, I show up for work every day, I'm there at 8 o'clock in the morning and I stay in work late, is not enough. Why? Because anybody else can do that. Everybody else can do that, and they can also replace you. So what is it that makes an MVP, and why are MVPs so important? As I said, MVPs contribute value to the business. And that means that the owners of the business, the people who run the business, put a lot of value to them, meaning they'll be rewarded more, meaning that they will retain them at all costs because they realize that by losing those people, they lose value. As I said, in the last several decades of working, I can count on two hands the number of people have contributed to the business. And I've noticed that in every single case, all these people had common characteristics. And it wasn't just because they did their job well. They should do their job well, because if they don't, we fire them. The special something they have, I'd like to distill into basically three things. To become an MVP in this new workplace, you need to possess three characteristics. The first characteristic is that you have to have industry awareness. It is amazing to me how many people work in a company, and when they're asked, what industry is your company in? They either do not know, or they have the incorrect perception of what that industry is all about. You need to understand the industry that you're in. For example, if you're working for a company and that company was in the, I don't know, the paging business or the fax business, do you think you have a very good future in that particular business? Probably not, because fax machines and pagers are no longer a growing industry. So you have to have industry awareness. I love working with employees who can tell me things about things that are going on outside our company in the industry that affect our company. So if you are working in a company, for example, in graphics design, well, there are trends in graphic design globally that you should be aware of. If you work for a company, for example, doing game development, there are trends in that as well. If you work in media, if you work in retail, if you work in manufacturing, there are industry trends that you should be aware of, not just because it affects you and your career, it also affects the business you're working for. So industry awareness is a key differentiator between regular employees who just do their job well and employees that contribute value to the business. The second is company awareness, knowing where your company is and where your company stands within the industry that it's in. Again, one surprising fact is if you ask a lot of employees working in a company, whatever their position is, if you ask them, who are your top 3 competitors in your business? And they can't tell you. I think we compete against Google. Probably not. Okay? There aren't too many companies that compete directly with Google, but it's very important to understand the company's awareness. People ask, how do you know somebody's company where? Two very simple questions. Number one, ask them, how long has the company been in business? Do they even know how long the company has been in business? Secondly, with the question I asked earlier, who are the top 3 competitors for your company? If you don't know that, you're not really company aware. You have to understand that the company you work with is your source of livelihood. And you have to know as much about the company as you do about yourself. If you don't understand the company, you can't add value because you don't know what to do to contribute to that value. This last thing, called technology awareness, is probably something I would not have put on here 10 or 15 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it's okay for somebody to not be technology aware. 20 years ago, it's okay for somebody to say, I don't know how to use a computer, or I don't know how to use Excel. or I don't use social media, or I don't know how to send an instant message, or I don't know how to operate a VCR, or some other technology, user technology. But today, work, business, industry, and technology are all melded together. There is not a single business in the world today that is not affected by technology. So for you to be able to excel, for you to be able to establish yourself as an MVP within the company that you're working for, or even in the industry you're working for, you must have technology awareness. You have to be able to do these things that some people might think, younger people especially, take them for granted. So if you don't have this awareness of technology and how you can use it to help you in your job or the company in its business, then you can't really be an MVP. And so when you have this, you can demonstrate the ability to add value to the business. And when you can show your employer, when you can show the owners that you're able to add value to their business, then you become an MVP. I hope that was helpful. I hope that was a nice little eye-opener for everybody. If you have any questions, I have a public email address, julian@gurango.com. Feel free to send me an email and I'll answer as best I can. Thank you very much.